I want people to hear my voice and forget their troubles for 5 minutes. Back to Black was directed by Sam Taylor Johnson, who has done films like 50 Shades of Grey and Nowhere Boy. More on Nowhere Boy in a particular bit, including one thing that happened behind the scenes with her and one of the stars of Nowhere Boy that led to a bit of controversy, shall we say, and a bit of an age gap between her and her current husband, Aaron Taylor Johnson. I kind of already tipped my hand there, but yeah, Sam Taylor Johnson, with that behavior, she was the perfect goddamn person because Roman Polanski was busy to direct this story about Amy Winehouse's life and journey from adolescence to superstardom and to her very tragic but sadly not very surprising death given the amount of substance abuse issues, mental health issues, bulimia issues, and the fact that she was a troubled Ute, as the kids say. She really was proof that only the good die young. I'm not saying she was a saint. I'm not saying she didn't have issues. She wanted to do things her way, and she wanted to do music her way. And you would think that a movie that was being brought to the silver screen with, Amy Winehouse's, like her estate's blessing, so to speak, and a $30 million budget would try to do that. Check out the 2015 Amy documentary that actually somehow managed to do some really, really good shit with the archival footage and the interview footage, and it's on Max currently, and it is quite good. I reviewed it recently, and it dives into a lot more of Amy's life, the sordid stuff, and the rise and fall and rise, and various things that she went through in her life. And do not misunderstand me. I am not saying that Amy Winehouse is a saint, but she was super goddamn talented. So, speaking of somebody that might think they're super goddamn talented, but I don't think they really show it here, Matt Greenhalgh, who did Nowhere Boy. He also did Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool. They just play football, the world sport, while we play American football. Speaking of American football, The Look of Love has nothing to do with that. So yeah, Matt's done other stuff. You can check out the respective IMDb pages for the full list of their work. But yeah, check out what Sam Taylor Johnson did on the set of Nowhere Boy. Sam Taylor Johnson was born in 1968. Okay, so Nowhere Boy came out in 2008. Even if that film was done a little bit earlier in the year and was rushed out to theaters and everything, she was still 40, or 39 or 40. And Aaron Taylor Johnson was born in 1990. For those of you that aren't fucking math majors, yeah, 18. She preyed on that goddamn son of a bitch, and don't you tell me she fucking didn't. Don't you fucking tell me she didn't. It's close to a Mary Kay Letourneau situation. Sure, he wasn't underage technically, but if we can knock guys for preying on young women and grooming them, Hollywood or otherwise, then we gotta do the same when this shit happens. She literally looks like she could have been somebody's grandma even back in 2008, but then again, that's what groomage and a lot of bullshit will do to you. I'm off my goddamn soapbox, so let's talk about what they got right. They did get a little bit of the fearlessness right with Amy, because Amy was a fearless individual. Marissa Abella, she plays Amy, and look, I'm not going to mix words here. They should have had her lip sync, because I'm not saying that the woman can't sing, but she was put in a very bad position. A very, very, very bad position here. When I heard how she sang in the trailer, and then, people that saw the film at, film festivals, and I saw stuff, I go, this is going to kill a lot of her career initially, because she's going to get way more shit than she deserves for something that is not her fault. Numerous people that have portrayed singers lip sync, and it worked just fine. You can't channel Amy Winehouse's voice. Even if Marissa has a bit of vocal talent, it wasn't gonna goddamn work. And none of these songs worked at all. There were some that were cringe-inducing. There were some that were, I guess, okay. And not being the biggest Amy Winehouse fan, I recognize some of these songs, not all of them. But yeah, Marissa, gonna get a lot of shit, and really, quite frankly, the director deserves a whole lot more shit for the aforementioned grooming, as I said. Nobody's of age. Yeah, fuck you. So, Eddie Marsan plays Mitch, the dad, who they babyface the fuck out of in this. It's despite the fact, if you see the Amy documentary, yeah, not exactly the best guy. There was a tumultuous, time with the mother. He was in and out of her life, but conveniently was suddenly back for her rise to fame. Gee, almost like he was latching onto her. At least that's the interpretation I got from it. And it ain't just here. It was in Amy also. But they tried to whitewash it where he's so sympathetic. He wanted to save her. He wanted to do this. I don't think he wanted that at all. I just don't think he wanted the gravy train to stop. You had the on again, off again love interest who became her husband for a little bit, Blake, played by Jack O'Connell, who does his best here. You have Cynthia, Leslie Manville, and you had Juliet Cowan, who played Janice. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, I guess. Oh, wait. Damn it, Janice. And from there, we just see, her. The one thing they did do right that I will say I enjoyed was the relationship with the grandmother, where Amy talked about how when she lost her grandmother, and sorry, these are kind of spoilers, but kind of not, because if you know anything about Amy Winehouse's story, then you're not really going to be surprised by any of this. You might be surprised by how much they whitewashed, bleach, and practically soaked this thing in bleach to the point that every edge and every color is gone. Ironic for somebody that had super black hair and came from a British Jewish family, that she would have been more culturally diverse and everything. No, that wasn't going to be the case here. This was sanitized, pasteurized, and bastardized as far as I'm concerned. She referenced herself as she ain't no fucking Spice Girl, and no, she wasn't, because they're all still alive. That's mean. That's mean. But they got their stuff under control. And there's one line that I swear to God, even though Salam, I believe, was the name of the producer, where it said, shit girl, no way you're only 18. Oh, Sam, you grandmothery twat. You had to tell on yourself there, didn't you? You had to put that line in there. We did get songs from Lauryn Hill. We got songs from the Shangri-Las. Well, one song from each. I forgot that Lauryn Hill is actually very vocally talented. She just doesn't like to show up on time. But $30 million budget. It's made over that as of last week at the box office. So it'll probably end up being a fairly decent hit. This movie doesn't deserve to make a dime, though. And that's no disrespect to the people that tried to make this work as far as the cast. But this is more whitewashed than a goddamn Elvis movie. This is more whitewashed than Priscilla. Priscilla, at least, I think, tried to do something. Kaylee Spaney did fine as Priscilla. And Marissa she tries her bit. When she's trying to just act, I guess she's all right at times, but they make it too much about how the marriage to Blake or the relationship with Blake is what really drove her to this stuff. It was the stuff with the grandmother. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't a combination here. Nobody really knew Amy except those closest to her, but you can see the timeline of events when she finds out what happens to her grandmother and what, leads to that. As her stardom is rising, she loses the one rock that she had. She didn't have the best relationship with her parents. And from there, we have a movie basically that just whitewashes the fuck out of this whole thing. And yeah, it also has like such an abrupt ending. It's actually very surprising. They didn't even go with like anything where, okay, we're going to go, that's it. We're just going to that. Yeah, they kind of gloss almost over the Grammys thing. I mean, they get that a little bit of time, but her winning Album of the Year was a big fucking deal. They didn't even show the Tony Bennett duet thing. Just show that. Have somebody play Tony Bennett. You already got somebody that can't, play Amy fucking Winehouse, so why not get somebody like, they got to play Ric Flair and the Iron Claw? That was good, wasn't it? This was so sanitized and such a misfire. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. That's the thing. If you have never seen the Amy documentary, you might wonder if they include everything. And there's no way they could have included everything even in that documentary, but they included more than enough so you got both sides of the whole damn thing, and you found out how troubled Amy was, as talented as she was, but also how some people took advantage of her. The stuff with Nick, the producer that discovered her. I mean, they kind of ignore the relationship they had, the camaraderie they had. The Salam character, I wish they would have included, because he actually seemed like he was a bit of a rock for her. But no, they had to focus on the fact that dad was so sweet and everything, and so giving and so accepting, and just wanted what was best for her. The fuck he did. And once again, Sam Taylor Johnson, goddamn creepy-ass grandmotherly bitch. My God. And Aaron Taylor Johnson's going to be fucked up when that marriage goes up in smoke, or maybe when she disappears into dust, which, based on how she looks like a hollowed-out mummy at this point, probably isn't going to be too far away. I think they also have kids together, and that's disgusting. That's really goddamn disgusting. What the fuck? What is wrong with you, Aaron Taylor Johnson? Let's get back to the rest of this. I'm going to get into spoilers here in a bit, but yeah. Sanitized, pasteurized, and just not good. Not good at all. I'm going to get into them in a bit, but if you want to check it out in theaters, go ahead. It'll probably hit streaming really, really goddamn soon. Poor Marissa, she's going to get a lot of hate that she doesn't deserve. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So, yeah, we see the relationship with the grandmother build throughout the whole goddamn thing. That's fine. Until the grandmother dies when Amy goes on tour to New York. The stuff with Blake was just fucking ridiculous. She, has a bit of a whirlwind romance with the guy. She's had some guys come in and out of her flat, as it were, as they say over there. And then she meets Blake in a chance meeting while her songs are playing, or one of her songs is playing at the bar. She ends up kind of flirting with him, realizing that she likes him, but he has a girlfriend. I forget the girlfriend's name right now at this point. It's not important for the purposes of this equation, but the girl that played her might want to lay off the fake tan just a little bit. Just going to say that I say as a purebred and wonderbred colored white guy. Now, that being said, they can't stay away from each other. Also, he's heavy into drugs. That's how she got hooked on drugs. No, she was already smoking weed and already doing stuff. And maybe he helped push it along. They were destructive for each other. But what ended up happening is she finds out that her grandmother's got lung cancer and all this stuff. And fuck cancer. Terrible thing. But then she rushes to the bar and meets, Blake and kisses him and everything. And then the girlfriend sees that and is all, what the fuck? What the hell's going on? So they're together for a bit, but then they're not together for a bit because it's an on-again, off-again thing. She had other guys. I think one guy was named Greg at one point. They do kind of gloss over the fact that Blake ended up going to jail for assaulting a pub owner, which he may or may not have actually done. It may not have been that severe. We don't really know. I mean, you can check out articles and everything, but who knows? They didn't talk about anything bad that the dad did, so why in the world would we care so much about this? It felt so safe, and the singing numbers just weren't good. None of this worked at all. When the grandmother died, it was terrible. Losing your rock, that's terrible. I can sympathize with that because I felt a lot of loss when I lost my grandmother when I was just 9 years old. And that is something that can affect you, especially when you're used to that, when you have somebody that you're close to. People eventually do have to pass on, but it came at a really, really bad time in her life. So she's drinking. They showed her assaulting quite a few of the paparazzi, which she had been shown doing and everything. To be fair, the tabloid and the paparazzi, they were kind of bitchy. They probably fucking deserved it. Just saying. But grandmother dies. She goes to the funeral. She does end up with Blake, where they get together and they have a whirlwind romance again. They get married. And then he gets her, she's hooked on crack now at this point. Bobby! Didn't end up in a bathtub like Whitney Houston, but nevertheless. We then, after Blake goes to jail, he gets clean. She's gotten a whole lot more fucked up. And instead of doing stuff to maybe help her along, no, he just leaves her and now she's broken, busted and just feeling disgusted and all that, and it just spirals out of control. She finally tells her dad she wants to go to rehab after the performance, and the Grammy stuff and whatever, and all this stuff's going on, and actually she gets clean and she's all good. They ignore the Serbian concert that basically led to a lot of questions of how much of her mental health really is affected. That's one thing I wish they would have included there, even if you just used some footage, some B-roll from a news report, something. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to show dad being sympathetic, despite the fact he fucking wasn't. And then they end up, and by the way, I just want to once again say, as I said in the Amy 2015 review that I did, fuck him. I hope he's having a horrible minute, a horrible hour, a horrible goddamn day, has a horrible week, a horrible month, and a horrible year, and fucking rots goddamn away. So that's what Mitch fucking deserves. Mitch goddamn Winehouse, whatever the fuck name he wants to go by just to hide from the goddamn tabloids. That guy helped exploit his goddamn daughter, so he fucking deserved every goddamn bit. So you know what? I hope that it eats at you, that it's partly your fault that your daughter died. I'm just going to throw out blame like that for whatever reason. But she says she wants to go to rehab. She eventually does to an extent. It seems like she's clean. But she also had that seizure earlier on, from a alcohol-induced binge and also drugs and stuff like that. And her body kind of went, into shock because she quit drinking alcohol. So unfortunately, she died on July 23rd, 2011. They showed her seemingly getting ready to renovate her house. There's a bird, a canary in the coal mine, or a lovebird, or whatever the fuck that is. I think it was a canary. And then they just do a graphic. Yeah, she died at this point. And then they show a little bit of a performance where, yay, she was doing this and all this. And yeah, remind us that Marissa really can't sing like Amy Winehouse, and you should have had her fucking lip sync. Because at least it would have worked there. It would have made softening the blow a little bit better. Because it was terrible. So yeah, this is an F. This is a goddamn F. And I'm sorry, once again, Sam Taylor Johnson's just like goddamn disgusting grandmotherly bitch. But the movie's terrible. It gets an F. It is bad. It's one of the worst things of the year. And the worst part is it's boring. So yeah, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rintlin. I'll see you soon.